All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Tech Stack Playbook, your guide to apps, software, and tech, but in a fun way, I promise. I have so many amazing guests coming on to the Tech Stack Playbook today. So I'm going to be bringing on Raphaela, Moyua, Sully, and Abdi. These are four awesome people that I've met through the All Builders Welcome Grant Program through AWS. And we're going to be talking about this grant program, also going to AWS reInvent. This was our first tech conference and really helped us branch into tech, build our careers, build our really strong community, and kind of also find ourselves within this industry. And jumping into tech can be very intimidating. It can be very scary if you haven't built apps before, or you're maybe trying to get your first job, or you're taking your first few steps into the industry. So I really like how the All Builders Welcome Grant Program helped to just bring people that are like-minded and early career like all of us, and help us kind of all survive and thrive through the industry. And we had so much fun in Las Vegas and just so many great vibes and everything. So just really excited to bring everybody on. So I'm going to bring you all onto the stage and we'll do some intros. All right.
Hello.
There we go. Okay, awesome. All right, so I think we're all on. So obviously I'm Brian, but I'm gonna go to my right and then go down. So Rafaela, you are right up. Do you want to introduce yourself? Maybe tell us, who you are, what you do, and how people can find you on social.
Yes, hi. My name is Raphaela Han. I'm a cloud FinOps consultant at Software One. And you can find me on LinkedIn by my name, Raphaela Han, no period in between. Mia, I think.
Yeah, and I think I'm next.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Hi, everyone. Good to be back here again. To be talking with folks about all builders. Welcome. My name is Olumuyiwa Kolayemi, based here in Boston. I'm a platform engineer. I work with Slalom Build, where we help our developers to enable developer happiness. I always say that whenever I come on this show, and truly that's what we do. Let me pass it to Sully.
I hope you can all hear me. Can you hear me fine?
I hear you.
Yep, we can hear you.
Can you? Yeah, so hi, I'm Sully Martinez. I'm a software engineer based in Boston. I'm also a AWS community builder. I'm excited to be here once more to talk about all the exciting thing about reInvent conference.
Awesome. And Abdi, you're last up.
I'll be next.
Hey, what's up, friends? My name is Abdie Mohamed. I'm a senior cloud engineer at Lockheed Martin, and I'm really excited to talk about the All Builders Welcome Grant with you all and share our lovely experience.
All right. Okay, this is awesome. And you all are some of my favorite people in tech. So this is super awesome. Major thank you to jumping on Tech Stack Playbook today to talk about this grant program. And kind of crazy because we all are from completely different industries. We all have completely different backgrounds. We're all from, different areas of the world, and we're all kind of brought together through this one program, which I think is really special and also is a testament to where when you bring a lot of different voices from across industry, from across backgrounds, expertise, you can build a really strong network. And we're just 5 people, but this alumni program of, recipients of the grant program and then mentors spans in the hundreds. So it's really cool to, be such a small selection of a very big community. And so thank you all for, and you also have very busy schedules. I appreciate your time. I would love to just kick off how you heard about this grant program. Going a little bit off script, but I kind of just wanted to let folks hear how you all heard about the grant program, because I think this could also help to make sure people are dialed into the right channels and communities from the start. So I heard about this grant program through the AWS Community Builders Program, and I had also heard about it on Twitter, or X. I don't know if to call it Twitter or X now, but it was I really leveraged social media to find opportunities. So for me, I really leverage social media and Slack. But what about you all? Where'd you all find this program?
I
I don't even, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't exactly remember, to be honest, because I saw it in multiple places. But I think I saw a couple on LinkedIn, and I knew about reInvent before I saw the application for the All Builders Welcome Grant. But when I saw the application open to provide like free, basically everything, right? So I just jumped on the opportunity to join.
Awesome. So social media is good. Yeah, social media is a great opportunity. Sully, what about you? What were you?
I think it was, I didn't remember either, but I think it was through LinkedIn that I came across the application, and I decided to apply. I didn't know, obviously, like if I was going to be accepted or not. And I was just to be like, let me put my luck into this and see, hopefully I'll be selected. Luckily enough, I was. But yeah, I think it was through LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think same thing for me also. Actually, maybe this would be a good time to do a shout out to my connection that actually posted the link on LinkedIn. His name is Troy Ingram. I just saw the post on LinkedIn. I was like, what's this about? I didn't even believe it. Like, is this a scam or something? Like, I'm gonna pay my flight, because where I come from, nothing's really free. Like, you really need to like check what is free. So I'm like, but my wife was like, there's nothing to lose, just apply. I'm like, okay, so like, how can I'm not even sure if my story, is convincing enough to bring me to this reInvent, but I still go ahead and, to still like apply and put in the application. So yeah, LinkedIn, yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I can't tell you countless opportunities that have, I've gathered from LinkedIn. People underuse that platform, but if you really know how to use LinkedIn, it's the best. So LinkedIn for me.
That's awesome.
It's a powerful tool for sure.
Yeah. And it's also making sure to follow those accounts that share opportunities and those types of things, because that was something that I didn't start to do, I guess, until like much later, when I was like more active in tech. And I kind of felt like I had needed to like earn my ability to like follow somebody or like be following opportunities, and like people share stuff all the time and it's really good content. So don't feel like you need to be introduced to the right person to like start jumping into opportunities, because sometimes if there's a cool opportunity, like Sully, you had just talked about like a little bit of luck. I feel like one of my mentors always talks about how like luck is when preparation meets performance. So it's like when you are like in a good spot, it's because you worked hard to get there. So just leveraging opportunities and connections. Abdi, what about you? How do you find out about all of your cool opportunities?
Man, we're gonna sound like broken records, but I'm gonna say LinkedIn. It was by a special someone. Her name was Jackie Oren.
That's
Shout
awesome.
out to Jackie if you're watching this. We love you.
So that's cool. So it's like we find resources through, channels, maybe like a Slack or a Discord, social media like LinkedIn, maybe having a mentor or somebody. So I think that's one of the best things that we can all do, right? Is find people that can unlock opportunities. And I think all of us can attest to also being that unlocker. So if anybody has questions about the program, feel free to drop those in the chat. And we can also try to help, unlock more about the program and help explain it. Okay, cool. So now back to like the kind of like the more structured questions that we kind of came up with. So why did we want to apply for this All Builders Welcome Grant program? Because I feel like there's this program and it sounds amazing. They fly you out to Las Vegas for reInvent. It's a huge global international conference with they had like 60,000 plus people attending it last year. So like that's like so many. I can't even imagine like how many people that is like in an actual number. But you're going to meet so many companies. You're going to meet so many experts. You're going to meet so many industry influencers, and you get to attend workshops, breakout sessions. I got to learn how to like use tech by the people that actually built a lot of the services and systems. So it's the access to the tech is amazing. I would just like to know from you all what made you want to apply, and we could go in like reverse order. So like Abdi, if you want to kind of kick it off, and then we could do like Sully, Moyua, and then Raphaela. Like I would love to know your why for attending this program, because of course there's the what, like these are all the things that you get from the program, but like why did you want to join this program? Like, going to Las Vegas maybe for the first time, attending your first tech conference. I just want to know like what your all's why was.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, once I heard about the program from Jackie, obviously besides like the benefits of free flight, free food, et cetera, the main reason why I applied was really an opportunity to get to meet people like practitioners in the field across the whole world, face to face. Because as y'all know, with COVID, COVID made things very difficult. There weren't lately, we're seeing more conferences, today. However, a couple of years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case. So I haven't been to a lot of tech conferences, and I wanted to go to a tech conference where I could just meet people, shake hands over some coffee, some tea, talk shop, and talk about life and our career growth.
Love it. That's awesome. That's what it's about. Sully, what about you? What was your why?
Yeah, for me, it was like to kickstart my career. I was still pretty early on in my career, and I think it would have been like an amazing opportunity to kind of tap into this amazing like community, and also like leverage some of like the like hands-on experience and knowledge that I didn't really was exposed prior. Like I didn't know much about cloud computing or machine learning, and I think this was going to be like a great opportunity for me to kind of like learn about all these like AWS services, and obviously like connect with a lot of amazing folks. So for me, it was a lot related to career-wise and all the benefits that the event offers.
Yeah, and I think I can piggyback on the same why with Sully. Few people know, I'm sure many people know about my story. I transitioned into tech, from a different career. I have a master's in agricultural and environmental engineering. Then I moved to the States and I started exploring cloud computing during the pandemic. I actually attended my first reInvent online, and it was so good, like to see, a lot of people talking about even AWS training and certification. I was like, wow, like this is really cool. I would love to be, to attend this conference just for me to also like, get to know people, get to know, get to see like, I'm part of something bigger, because we can all be in our little office, little closet, and just individual contributors. But when you go to conferences like that, it helps you see that, wow, you are part of something bigger. Like you're like, there's a lot of people doing similar things, and you like what you are doing is really cool, right? I think that was what the AWS reInvent unlocked for me. I was, just starting my career, and I wanted to know more people, and I know the power of mentorship, right? So I'm like, okay, actually, I'm just literally reading my application essay for you. So I'm like, I told them like this story, and I told them, like what it would mean for me to have a mentor. And looking onto that reInvent, I know I'm going to be meeting people that have 20, 30 years of experience, people that even have 5 years experience, that I can just hear their story. They can guide me on like, hey, this is what I did that was wrong. Don't go this way, So for me, that was my why. Like I want to actually see, what this cloud computer of a thing. Like I want to see how I'm part of something bigger. At the same time, see if I can get maybe a mentor along the line, someone to guide me in, for my career progression. So that was my why, and I'm glad that the story was convincing enough for them to consider me for the grant.
Of course. Awesome.
So my why is very similar to everyone else's. I think I'm going to combine everyone's story into mine. So I started my tech journey during the pandemic as well. And so I think one of the criteria for All Builders Welcome Grant program is that you need to be within 5 years of your tech career. So I was still very new. I'm still quite new to tech industry, and AWS being the most dominant cloud service provider. And I knew about reInvent. All their, not everything about AWS reInvent, but I knew like what they do there to kind of introduce new services and products. So I just wanted to learn more about that. And I also wanted to network with a bunch of people. What I didn't realize was that a lot of people that I've been following to learn from and also talk to online, they were going to be there as well. So it was a great opportunity to meet those people in person, because I'm fortunate enough to work fully remote. But I think there's definitely a benefit, and I don't want my employer to hear this, but there's definitely a benefit to meeting people in person once in a while. So I think it was definitely a great opportunity for that.
That's awesome. It's funny you mentioned that, because I feel like being in tech, it's like nice to be remote sometimes if you're able to do that. But there's nothing like meeting people in person, forming bonds and building community of like with real people in real time. Of course, you can build bonds and like relationships virtually, but it's not the same as meeting in person. Especially seeing Abdie's suits, the pictures don't compare to seeing that in person. He's like the most well-dressed professional I've ever met. So major shout out. That's awesome. Okay, this is awesome. And okay, so I would love to walk us through next attending your first global tech conference. Because for me, I had been to like virtual stuff, and again, like being in the pandemic, right? Like I had gone to these virtual conferences, which were amazing. Shout out to Git Nation and Geekle, because that was like how I learned a lot of tech from a lot of people that gave workshops there. But it's I'm going to my first tech conference. It's like 30, I think it was like 36,000 people that I knew were going to be there, and it's like, what does that mean? What does that actually look like? So I was pretty overwhelmed, and I really didn't know what to expect. So I just love to know from you all, like, what was attending your first global tech conference like? Raphael, maybe we could go like in reverse order. So start with you, and then we'll loop around again. Tell us, like, what was it like to actually, like, you hear about reInvent, or you read something about it, or you heard from AWS, but then you actually go and like you attend it. What was that like?
So, I mean, if you watch the sessions that are available on YouTube, you're not gonna get like a really good vibe of what it's like in person. Brian mentioned earlier, there were about like 60,000 participants last year. Basically, when you go to Las Vegas that time of the year, you're gonna see the streets full of people who are attending the event, and it's not common in Vegas, right? So, just I would suggest if you have the opportunity to attend like a smaller tech conference first, because for me it was my first major conference as well, and it was quite overwhelming because 60,000 people, especially like because last year it was still like during the pandemic. It was a lot of people, and it's spread out all throughout Las Vegas. So even getting from like one hotel to another that's right next to one another, it takes a while. So if your Google map says it's gonna take 10 minutes, that's just from the entrance to the entrance. And when you want to get to the actual conference site, you have to walk another like 10-15 minutes in. So that's something to consider. And one thing I learned by going to other conferences is that there are introverts, right? So it can be quite overwhelming to those people. What AWS reInvent provides to people is that they have something called like meditation rooms where people can just go in and then just kind of decompress from all the high stimulant situations. So I think just knowing about all these facilities and accommodation that are available will be very helpful.
That's a great pro tip. I'm glad you brought that up about the meditation rooms, because it's a lot. You're like going into back-to-back sessions, and like some of it can very like mentally draining of just like information processing and meeting lots of people. So that's a great plug.
I never found it because I'm terrible with directions, but it's there.
Well, now everyone will know to look out for that now. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. That's super awesome. What about you? What was you heard about, reInvent, you read something or you saw videos, but then you actually go through it. Walk us through what the difference was for you, or maybe the same.
Yeah, it was a lot. Although I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. I think I'm an extrovert. I love meeting people and networking with people. I love to be out there. But even still, I like, extroverts, get levels. I was like, what is happening here? Like, it was really a lot. I think, at some point I was like, I think I lost my voice, and I'm like, I can't even talk anymore, because there's a lot of people that I've been following online that I get to meet in person. It was so cool, just like connecting with people and just keep talking and networking, and so it was really overwhelming. Like I could only imagine, how it's going to look like, because it was an online that I first, attended. Then like getting to Las Vegas, I'm like, what? I think Raphaela made a very good point about the Google Maps telling you, from one hall to another. But when you get to Venetia alone, to get to the podium or where you're going to be having, the talk or whatever session you're attending, that is another walk entirely. And I think this last time that we went back as a tech mentor, like I have my my ring, like literally like gathering my steps. I think I have like maybe average 12,000 steps per day. I was like, what is happening here? Yeah, but it was a very good exercise for me for that 1 week. So it was really overwhelming, and I think that was also one of the that was the feedback that we gave, when they asked feedback about like how was it, and I think majority of people suggested having someone like a buddy or like a mentor, for people that is their first time, it's very helpful, and I believe that was why we had the alumni mentor, program, alongside with the grant this year. I hope that helped not to feel really overwhelming for people, because during the first time, we didn't even have anybody to go to. We were just like trying to figure it out all by ourselves. But at least with the introduction of alumni mentor, I think that will kind of like help. You can like quickly reach out to someone like, hey, this is how to go about it. And I believe that should be a better experience for people that attended last year. Maybe Abdel and Raphaela can speak to that. And yeah, but that was it for me. It was a little bit overwhelming. But going back as an alumni mentor this year was much better. And yeah, I hope people feel the same thing as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, shout out to the alumni mentors who I think that's like a great program to help like even first time grant recipients like navigate a very, very big conference. Sully, what about you?
So for me, I was going by myself. So I was definitely didn't expect, like, I had no expectation of what to expect at the conference. So I was a little bit like kind of scared, to be honest. I was just like, I'm going by myself. I don't really know anyone. This is going to be the first time in this massive conference. Would I be able to like actually like connect with like good people? Like, and I remember like the anticipation of it. Like, I have no idea like if this conference is gonna eat me alive because there's so many people. But like I end up like connecting with so many amazing folks, because I feel like also like the grants, Jessica really is like really great at like really like fostering like community. And so I feel like I was able to, even the first day, to connect with a lot of folks. And then from there, I was like, oh my God, this is so easy to like meet people. And then like, it just like, after that, it was so great. But then one of the things that I did learn right away is that to wear comfortable sneakers, because you're going to be doing so much walking. And I remember this was like the first time, it was like after like post-COVID. So I was just like, I haven't worked out in so long. And I'm like here, like, oh my God, like my legs are hurting. I was not expecting the amount of walking. So the following year, I definitely prepared myself, picked a venue for the session. So I was in like jump into different sessions, because the venues are pretty massive. So I kind of like make sure that I plan ahead of time, like what sessions are going to be. And like, so I didn't have to like go running like a mad woman to these sessions. But yeah, wear comfortable shoes, be prepared, pick a venue for all your sessions if you can. But yeah, be prepared to also meet a lot of amazing people. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That is so awesome. I loved everything you said, especially the sneakers part. There's a lot of walking. They booked out like 5 hotels across Las Vegas Strip, so it's like,
yeah, you'll lose a lot of weight. Like,
it's a good workout.
There's a lot of food too, so you don't have to.
It balances out.
Yeah, yes.
There's a lot of food.
That's awesome. And Abdi, close us out. What was your expectation of reInvent? What you read, what you saw, what you learned, and then what you actually experienced, in Las Vegas?
You know what's really funny? As Raphaela pointed out, if you watch the YouTube videos, it's just not gonna do it justice. I'm over here thinking it's gonna be calm, cool, collective. you're not going to see anything crazy. You're going to get 8 hours of sleep every night. No, you're not. And it was such a fun time. I loved it. Meeting so many awesome people. What I enjoyed about going to the conference the most is that as you're like grabbing lunch, you could sit next to somebody random and then just have a conversation about anything, all things tech, AWS, etc. And I think that was probably what I valued the most. Going to random tables with a friend or two and just sitting down, hey, how you doing? What brings you to this conference? Sparking up a conversation, and the next thing you know, you guys have a working relationship with one another. Y'all are friends. So yeah, I think that was my favorite part. And definitely, as Sully mentioned, yeah, you got to bring some comfortable sneakers, because I like wearing dress shoes, right? But sometimes that could be a little stubborn. So I wore some dress shoes one of those days, and my feet were destroyed.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, lesson learned. Never again.
I don't think we should be getting any like dress recommendations from Abdie.
No.
He has like 10,000 suits packed somehow.
Listen,
At least you're well dressed, though,
I plead the fifth.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's.
You mentioned also like the 8 hours of sleep. Like I don't remember sleeping any of those 8 hours, but for somehow I still woke up early in the morning, like ready to like go to my sessions. And I am not a morning person, but somehow in the conference I was still waking up early to be at these sessions at 8 o'clock in the morning. Never heard of it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was tough. I was probably sleeping maybe like 4 or 5 hours. It was hard to go to sleep because I don't know where is everyone geographically located. I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah, there's no sleep.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, okay, we're up. Here we go.
6 hours probably. Yeah. That was still enough.
Yeah, I think it's just like at a certain point, you're just running off of adrenaline and excitement to learn and build and meet new people. So yeah, I kind of remember sleeping, but I don't remember sleeping 8 hours. I think it was maybe more like 4 or 5, if anything. Just because it's cool because you're like, there's programming throughout the whole day into the whole evening, and there's like networking receptions like after the conference too, and breakfast stuff in the morning. So it's literally throughout, like as soon as you wake up until almost the time that the sun's up again. It's like there's so much programming. And I'd love to also bring in just what were our top highlights, because I remember like someone actually in the chat talked about a lot of food and a lot of swag. Just a lot of great bonds, making friendships. I remember there were like some very helpful technical sessions that I went to, and I feel like when I went for the first time, because I was very fortunate to like have gone as a grant recipient and then come back as a mentor. And the first time I went to reInvent, I structured it as I'm just learning what AWS can do, so I want to take kind of like foundational type lesson-y, like here's what you could build, and like here's a framework to build apps. I was kind of learning a little bit about infrastructure as code and how to deploy applications. And then the second time I went, it was much more, okay, like what can I scale with AWS? So I got to attend a really cool session on graph databases with Neptune and DynamoDB. So I had experience with cloud after that first year, but it was like, what are the cool things that I could do? And I was learning a lot about microservices and Lambdas and Fargate and like some like kind of a little bit more of like the ML stuff that I'm doing now, but I was like learning kind of the prerequisites for that. But I'm curious, Abdie, we're going to start with you. What were your top highlights from reInvent? Yeah, because I'd just love to hear from your perspective of, like you had signed up maybe for some sessions, in the app, and then when you go to reInvent, it's like the whole week. What were like the top highlights that you felt throughout?
Yeah, that's a valid question. So I signed up for so many sessions, and I didn't go to as much as I wanted to go to. As Raphaela pointed out earlier, you're not going to make it to all of them. You realize when you get there, the distance between, hotels and, venue locations. So, yeah, I think for me personally, what I enjoyed the most, I went to one session. It was focused on it was focused on intro to container security. I thought that was really cool. And then I went to this other session hosted by this guy named Brian Ho, and it was amazing, right? He talked about his journey into software engineering. I believe it was at the All Builders Welcome Lounge. Amazing. He talked about how he had to learn so many different technical disciplines to build an app. Folks, if you're listening, I'm talking about the man right here who's hosting this thing. And yeah, that was one of the highlight. Another highlight, and the last highlight, I believe, I'm not sure it was Wednesday night or Thursday night, where we had we went to this venue. It was like an all builders welcome party, hoorah. That was really fun. The food there was amazing. Got to meet so many lovely people there and see professionals get loose. So some of y'all could dance. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Abdie, you're the best. Oh my god, so many great. Like, I'm literally reliving all the nostalgia from reInvent from last year. This is so much fun. Sully, what about you? Because we've been to a couple of reInvents now, so we got in the first cohort and
Yes.
So
I think the one was like obviously like meeting all of you guys, like making friends. I think the second was also like having like a lot of hands-on learning about machine learning and like building apps. Those were like a lot of them. A lot of my sessions were around like a lot of hands-on building application. But then like the third would be also like attending those EDM like big closeout event and just vibing. Like it was just like a lot of fun.
yeah, so much fun. Moyo, what about you?
Yeah, I can jump on that. I think I have, I've been to your event 2 times now. From the first time I was at the event, I was working as a cloud system engineer there. Then, so there wasn't really a lot of automation, with the work I do. There's still a lot of ClickUps and, manually operating some stuff in the cloud, because it was more like a cloud administration role. But I've always, wanted to know more about DevOps, about automation. So I think the highlight for me was a session that was hosted by AWS partner called Dynatrace. It's an observability platform, and they have one of their an evangelist, that came to talk about, where they were, their journey, to observability, how they started, how they struggle with deployment, and now how they were able to literally make a deployment from their phone. Like, it's so cool. Like, they can get to do it seamlessly. And I was just sitting down in that hall, like listening, somebody narrating, what I'm currently experiencing, and somebody was narrating, their journey, how they were there before, and and how they were able to apply automation, to move things very forward and make developer or administrator make their life very easy and very simple. So I was like, I love that. I really that kind of really inspired my my motivation for DevOps, knowing a lot about automation. And then I think going back as an alumni mentor, then I was able to actually pivot into DevOps engineering. I started working, as a platform engineer then, and it was so good to go back. So I still have another, target about, okay, what do I want to learn? Because I think coming to reInvent for me, I'm like, okay, this is my 2 years, going to 3 years, in the industry. I want to know, I want to become more like a T-shaped engineer. I've learned a lot about AWS services through the certifications, but I want to, build a route. I want to really know where can I, at a 300 level, content, actually go a deep dive and, creating a niche for myself in the cloud. So I went there with that mentality. I have some domain that I was exploring, cloud security, observability, and some SRE also involved. So I have those, in mind. And I think one of the cool things this year is that you can literally actually sign up to have a 30-minute conversation with some of the people in the industry. So I was able to, to meet with, oh my goodness, I forgot her name. She's the ML Euro.
Keisha Williams.
Yes,
Oh,
Keisha
Keisha's
Williams.
amazing.
I'm
We
so
love you,
sorry.
Keisha.
Yeah, I met with her. She had a 30-minute session with me. I just call hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm, and she was able to hey, based on my experience, she was able to provide very good guidance, that I'm already like implementing. So I think for me, this year going out last year, like the second time going to reInvent, that was the highlight for me. Having someone that is independent and can like just like, hey, I think this is what you are thinking, and I think this might be a good area to look into and build that T-shaped engineer. So I think that was the highlight for me, and of course that Wednesday night, all those movements with the all builders welcome reception. I think that was really a good one. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, that was another, because I love music and I love to dance. So that's all builders reception. Yeah, that one was, yeah. I have to add it to the highlights. Apart from the learning, that fun, that was a really good one. So that would be my highlight. That I can share.
I love that. And it's like, I think it's also important to talk about how I think the grant program like allowed us to do tech stuff, but then also have fun together. And it's that like, you don't need to just be like EC2 server, AWS Lambda, like cloud formation. Like, it doesn't have to be like that all the time. Like we also are people, and like we all can like have fun and enjoy the time together and build community. So it's like, we don't like, we can sometimes turn like the tech switch off for a little bit and also build community together. And I think that's also like what I really liked about the All Builders Welcome program too, was like, we could have fun, like we could dance and listen to music and like vibe, and not just like be learning about this and like feel like we need to take notes all the time. Like we can enjoy each other's company and build relationships where like a year later or so, like we can all jump on a live stream together and just talk about our experiences in tech, especially like the last couple of years. Like we've done a lot of really cool things, so it's cool to do that. Raphaela, close us out.
So some of the highlights for me were first, attending keynote was really amazing. I feel like keynote sessions are tech nerds' dream of, like, they're living out their rockstar dreams. Because I've been to like a couple of keynote now, and I feel like there's like a common theme to all of them. That was really great. And one good thing about the All Builders Welcome Grant program is that they provide like a VIP access to those keynote sessions, so which will come in very, very handy, because it'll be quite chaotic in the morning when you try to get to keynote sessions. Other than that, I think meeting a lot of people, I think for me, it was a highlight as well. As I mentioned, I studied during the pandemic to transition to tech, and a lot of people that I saw online through like YouTube or A Cloud Guru, a lot of they were present at reInvent, and meeting them in person was just like really like mind blowing for me. It was just, and they have something called Peer Talk that started I think last year, where you can book people for about 30 minutes and you can have like one-on-one sessions with them, and it was really a great experience for me to sit down with them and just kind of thank them for like all their services I think online, and also just to kind of discuss what my career aspirations are and like what kind of path I should be taking. And another highlight that I really enjoyed was going to the expo. So I ended up there a lot more than I had expected, because I just couldn't make it to sessions on time. Even if I made it on time, sometimes it was fully booked, so I couldn't get in. So at that time, I would just go back to the expo. And when you go to the expo, you will see there are so many different companies, products and services that you've never heard of. I can guarantee you that you don't, like, I'm pretty sure like even Andy Jassy doesn't know all the services there are in AWS, because there's always something new, right? And at the expo, you can always learn something new about it, and also approach people that of the services that you're using in your daily task, and just talk to them about how you can improve or like optimize your work environment and infrastructure.
Love it. And before we go through this application, because a lot of people were asking questions of like, what does the application look like and how could we best apply? Raphaela, I am going to call you out because you do need to tell us your tips and tricks for locking down all the good swag. Because there was also someone that posted in the chat and they were talking about how you're the best at, Raphaela was the swag guru. You can like pop this up. So
yes,
from Daniel, you said that.
Yeah.
You're the swag guru.
No. So okay. So there are two places that you can get swag, right? The expo. I'm going to tell you this if you're not familiar with tech conferences. The bigger the tech conference, the worse the quality of swag is going to be, because you just have to meet as many people as possible. So the companies are not going to invest that much money into swag in events like reInvent. But there are a lot of private events that are happening around reInvent main sites. So a lot of big companies will rent out their private event spaces in like restaurants and like bars and other clubs, etc. When you go to those events, they will have a lot more exclusive swag that are definitely higher quality. And you just have to walk around a lot. Like I walked around a lot because I just get lost very easily. So I would go to like AWS On Air and then Peer Talk and, you know, different floors and different hotels. And then swag was just there for me. So I just, you know, they found me. So I just grabbed them. But yeah, there are definitely two ways to get them. But, you know, just
gotta come prepared next time.
Yeah, but just, you know, be real, you know, just remember what you're trading in. I know like Abdi as like a security person, and like Jackie, who was mentioned before, she was my like expo person. But just, you know, remember, you have to keep in mind like what you're exchanging and for the swag, right? Like you're selling your information, so just be aware of that. Be aware of what you're exactly exchanging. So yeah.
And also be aware.
That also reminds me.
Go ahead, Sully.
But you have to leave room in your luggage for all the extra like swags that you're gonna be bringing from these conferences.
Yeah, you have to like wear like 10 layers and then just put in your pockets, and yeah, it's not worth it. Let's say that.
It was a lot. It was a lot that I was bringing.
You don't need that many socks. Let's just say you don't need that many shirts.
No.
Maybe a couple.
Yeah, it's not that many.
Like there's like a master class of how to get swag. This is great.
Yeah, 101.
So awesome. And just in like the last like 10ish minutes or so, I'd love for us to just go through the application and also just plug it and show people, because a lot of people were reaching out asking, you know, I want to make sure that I submit a good application, but do you know what they're looking for? And like we don't actually know, but we could tell you from our experience what we think might help you in terms of like answering questions, you know, teeing yourself up for success. So let me just do a screen share and I'll throw up the window of the form. So let's see if that works.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Wait, that's not everybody. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bit bigger. And then, how's the zoom? Should I zoom it in a little bit more?
Better, it's legible.
Okay, let me see if I can just zoom it a little bit more. Okay, that should be much better, right? I'm just like checking it out on the screen. Okay, cool. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, awesome. So, yeah, I just wanted to know what some people were asking, like how should they tee up for success. So this form, I will also drop the link again. I had just shared it in the chat, but I'll show you. So link to apply is this one. Okay, so that's the link, and you'll go to the landing page, which will look like this. And then you'll see all this information about the program and all that good stuff. And then at the end of it, you'll press apply, and then it'll go to this form. So let's just go through this. So you have to put in your name, last name, personal email. So this is kind of just like your basic information, current employer, and then current job. So I'm just going to just type in some random stuff.
I think you don't need to have a job at the moment, right? Because I think some students were able to apply. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. So if like you are a student, like you could just put student and like your school, yeah, and like kind of like whatever. And then this is just, I also just want to emphasize that like this is for literally all. So like there's all the countries. Like if you are living wherever you are in the world, like I'm in the US, but like wherever in the world, they'll fly you from wherever you are home to Las Vegas and back, which I think is just a major plug. A lot of people are like, Mo, you were talking about that of like, is it really free? Like, what does that actually mean? So like, yeah, like it is like fully paid for, like there and back, which is really generous. So let me click next. And eligibility, so you have to be at least 21 years of age or more. Raphaela, you had talked about that with the 5 years or less, so you have to be kind of that early career. Have you attended this as a grant before? This is important because you like need to have like not been a grant recipient before. This is like for new people. And then, are you an employee? Enter this. No. And then this is sort of that underrepresented groups section, which is really important about like improving and enhancing diversity and inclusion in tech. So they're trying to meet basically and lift the bar for inclusion around like who's in tech and who can contribute to tech, bring more people and folks to the table. So whether you're a part of these different groups, these are the ones. And then, yeah, it's like if you selected none of the above or prefer not to say, then there's like some sections of like how you would sort of describe, you know, your participation in the program and those types of things. But that's optional, so we don't need to worry about that. So click next. Okay, so this might be something that we could all kind of contribute to. A lot of those were like kind of diagnostic questions, I guess. This is like 3rd of 5. So in terms of achievement, so what do y'all feel in terms of like listing your technology related education, training, or coursework? Some of us, I think, were like early career when we applied. So like I had not gone to college for computer science. I went to school for something completely different. And I kind of was like self-teaching myself courses. So I might have thrown in like a certification that I was taking or a program. But for you all, like go back to when you first applied. How would you have answered this specific question?
I think this just want to really test, want to see like, have you put in any effort at all, in terms of, your learning, learning about tech. So I think for me, I put in 1 certification. I also put in, my training with AWS Restart. That was how I got into cloud computing. I went through the AWS Restart training program. So I just put that in that, yeah, I graduated from the AWS Restart program. So for you, it might be maybe a boot camp. It might be, you can even put there like, you self-taught yourself, to get into tech. So just I think this want to see like, what are the efforts you are bringing in on your own, and, how would that help you when you come to this conference. So for me, certification and whatever, learning efforts that you've achieved, be it certification, be it graduation from college or from bootcamp, just put it there, but let it reflect something around AWS or other technology in cloud.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, how are y'all feeling? Is this does anyone else have anything to add?
Yeah, what I definitely want to emphasize what you were finished up with there is that, because you don't have a degree or a current certification doesn't mean that, your application is going to get thrown out the door. Again, it's about, hey, what are you doing right now? To show your interest into the tech field. And if you don't have anything, that's also fine too. Just share that, hey, this is a field that I'm very passionate about, that I want to get involved in, I want to be a part of. And by sharing why, you want this grant, why you want to go to this conference, I think a strong why is where the application itself will be weighted. How will it impact you in your life? How will that change the trajectory of your life and your career?
I love that. That's so true, because I feel like we all are kind of self-made developers in a certain sense. So it's like we're learning new skills, we are leveling up, but you don't need to like have everything figured out when you apply or when you start. No, I love that. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, and then tech-related work or intern experience. Kind of a similar thing, like maybe like you have an internship, so you talk about that and like kind of talk about that as a thing. Some people also, I was speaking with, like they were wondering, like, I have a startup, I'm working on a startup, does that count? So you could totally talk about that. Startup experience. Maybe you're like working in a tech-related job, so you could talk about a tech-related job. I'm also not trying, just so people know, it's like when they watch on the playback, it's not like you need to have like 5 things or like having like all these filled like means something or not. I'm just showing people examples of like how they could like answer this question. But yeah, like Abdi, like what you just said, like you don't need to like have everything all kind of done. We can kind of all be, you know, building our own experience. This is one that Raphael, you were just messaging us in the chat about this. So like this is kind of where we're getting more into the essay section. So tell us about your technology related personal and or professional activities and accomplishments. This can improve certifications, awards, clubs. This Moyua and Abdi, this kind of definitely reflects what you were just talking about of like show me effort. So like, are you like working towards something? Are you building your skills? Like why? Like what is your why for being in tech? But Raphael, Sully, like what do you think about, you know, a question like this? How would you address this one?
So yeah, I think what you showed earlier, like in the higher up and the like entry, like points for like certificates and whatnot, I think that's not a must to have for everyone. It's definitely, I think it helps in the application, in my opinion. But I think these essays are what kind of make or break your application to be successful or not, right? So I think this is where you kind of delve into what your passion for technology, like what kind of education you've had so far and what you actually did with those education. So, because you can gain a lot of certificates, but if you're not doing anything about it, then if you're not building anything, then I don't think it's a really good reflection on your tech learning. So you definitely want to talk about what kind of activities you've done. And I'm not talking about like paid activities. You don't have to have like a job or internship experience to apply to this. I know people who got accepted to this program without having a tech job or a tech experience, a paid experience. So you can have your private, like you can have your personal project listed here and just talk about like how you approached it and how what kind of accomplishments you got from it. When I say accomplishments, it's very, you know, broadly defined, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be like a tech CTO at this point, right? In your career, you can just be starting out, but you just need to show that you have this passion for this field and yearning for growth.
Yeah, to piggyback, it's the same thing. Like, talk about like obviously like what you currently doing to advance your career and how like this conference could like transform that, like in the sense of like how is that going to upscale your current skills that you have right now? How is that going to be like a step forward in your career? So I was like basically writing it from that lens, like what am I currently doing to advance my career in terms of like me as a software engineer? What am I currently learning? What type of applications I'm actually building? And then like how is this conference going to help me to step forward? And how can I leverage the conference to grow and continue advancing?
That's awesome. That's really great. Thanks everybody. Yeah, I love that idea. So you just mentioned about like how could you take an opportunity like this and then grow from it, right? This is kind of like a launch point, like you're a rocket ship, you know, you're accelerating. How could this help you and also like accelerate those around you? So like when you build community, it's like how can you go faster and also help other people go faster too? So this is great. I know we're kind of a little bit going over it. If everyone's able to stay for maybe like 15 more minutes, we could just kind of like go through this application super fast, and then we can kind of wrap this up. So one of the other questions, and Raphael, you talked to us about like these are the essays. This is where you're going to want to put a lot of your time, thought, and energy into this. The second essay question here, but really the first in the essay section is, what are your technology-related career plans and professional goals? What are you hoping to gain or learn from attending reInvent 2023? So I'll actually go down and then up in terms of just like order. So Raphael, I'm going to start with you. So when you applied for this, maybe this was like a question that you had, maybe it was a little bit different, but what were your technology plans? Because I imagine they might have changed a little bit, but kind of just really quickly in a couple minutes, like what do you think you would say for this when you were applying for the first time?
I think, yeah, the essay questions were exactly the same as last year's. My essay, I can't remember exactly what I wrote, but I mean, my career plans haven't really changed since my last application. So I think what I mentioned was that I think going to reInvent, I think meeting people, networking was definitely a big factor for me, because I didn't know anybody in tech when I made the transition to tech. And I was, as I mentioned before, I'm working fully remotely. So my options of meeting people in the field are quite limited. Now I think my network has expanded, definitely. But I mentioned that going to reInvent, meeting these people, not just the mentor figures that I've learned from, but also meeting my peers, I think is in All Builders Welcome Grant was really crucial for me, because I think a lot of people in this grant program, we are kind of in the same stage in our careers, right? Like I think although we are in different fields within the cloud space, I think we're just starting out in tech field. So I think it really helps to have that camaraderie built.
Love it. Moyua, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think I can just quickly chip in a few things there. I think for me, I was able to like quickly, briefly explain like where I'm at, right? Where I'm at, like what I've been learning, and also kind of like mention my career goal, like what are the goals that I have, and then now marry those two together and tailor it to how reInvent, tech conference like this, how can help you achieve some of those goals, right? For me, I know that I'm trying to like explore different area of tech because I'm new in tech, and I know going there to meet with folks from different background, from different area, that have created different niche for themselves, hearing from them and getting guidance. It might not be like a mentor kind of thing. It might just be maybe like a distance or online instructor, someone that can, like just mentor you or instruct you or guide you. So that was like my how I was able to marry that to my career goal. That okay, this is how reInvent is going to help me to achieve this. It's going to help me get more clarity on what I really want to venture into in my career. I think that is really a key one to look into when applying and writing this essay. Reflect and think about where are you now and where do you want to see yourself maybe in the next 3-4 years, and how going to reInvent can help you in one way to achieve some of those things that you itemize in your career goal.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Raphaela and Moyua. This is like great. Okay, next essay. I'm gonna ask Sully and Abdie for this one, and then we'll switch up again. So, what was your experience using AWS products or services and or technical experience? If you're new to tech, please describe tech-related aspirations and plans for this. Just really quickly, because Sully, I think when we joined, we were very at similar stages where we were kind of like very new to AWS and tech, and we were kind of trying to maybe learn about what AWS can do.
So I was not very exposed to AWS. So from this lens, I would talk about why do I want to deepen my knowledge to AWS. I kind of wanted to like learn more about cloud computing. I wanted to learn more about machine learning and kind of like understand just better overall, like what is AWS and why is it one of those like high demand services that is being used from that lens. But prior to applying, I didn't have a lot of exposure to AWS or actually building anything on AWS. So I just took it from like, why do I want to learn it? Like, where can I like leverage like that learning AWS in my career? For me, I just wanted to learn more cloud computing and also machine learning at the time, which is still pretty accurate right now.
Awesome. That's great. And Abdie, I think for you, because you were working in tech, but I'm sure that between like the pre-reInvent Abdie to now like post-reInvent Abdie, like I'm sure like I know you are always learning and everything. How has that changed your perspective of maybe the type of work you want to do, which I know we talked about at reInvent, but it's like, which is the stuff that you're doing now, but it's like when you applied from the beginning, was that clear to you, or did reInvent help you get more clear of the work that you're doing now that you wanted to do more of?
Yeah, definitely. So during reInvent, like when I was applying for reInvent last year, I was doing like a small AWS assignment for my job. but it wasn't something that I would say is like, it wasn't a huge, large-scale project. I was probably working on it maybe like 2 to 3, 4 hours a week, you know, compared to my other cybersecurity duties on another team. So, yeah, I did have, and I also did have some certifications. However, as far as like, you know, building a whole portfolio of projects, I didn't have that under my belt, and I didn't have a lot of enough hands-on AWS experience, in my opinion, you know, to consider myself, you know, oh man, that guy knows AWS through and through, right? But by going to the conference, definitely what helped was it gave me a lot of clarity as far as where I wanted to go in my career. I had a plan originally, you know, but now after, you know, reinvent from last year and the place where I'm at now, you know, there's some tweaks that I'll be making along the way to get to where I want to get to. So, yeah, and you know, meeting folks like Keisha Williams, Alexis Robinson, you know, Trevor Spires, shout out to Trevor, and yeah, you know, meeting builders at reInvent who are really seasoned in their career, that have been doing this for a while, that really gave a lot of clarity and gave me a more clear vision, you know, when it comes to where I want to go with my career.
Awesome. So I really like how you both had explained, Sully and Abdi, about how you don't need to be like a FANG engineer or like have some like super crazy big title. Like you can have like limited experience with AWS, and like I was a part of that too. I went to reInvent for the first time, and like I knew of AWS, but I had worked on like a very small like microservice for like an open source project. Like I had not really like dove into like the trenches of AWS. So for me, what Sully's answer was very similar to how I was answering it, of like, hey, I know that I can build things with AWS. Like I want to know like what can I actually build? And then Abdi, this is great because this is like you had experience with AWS, but you wanted to accelerate it and amplify it more. So you don't need to have everything, you know, cookie cutter, everything figured out. This is where reInvent can help you amplify your career, and the community can help you amplify that too. Okay, awesome. On the last for 4 or 5, what's a personal or professional achievement you're most proud of? Raphaela and Moyo, we're gonna go back to you. I feel like we're now doing like paired teamings. This is cool. What was your personal or professional achievement that you're most proud of?
So I think this is the part where you can really bring your unique personal experience to your application. And my professional accomplishment in that I wrote about was making the transition to tech during the pandemic, right? Like I had always wanted to learn a little bit more about tech, but I just didn't feel like I had the resources and time to do it. And then the pandemic happened, and all of a sudden I had all the time in the world at home. So I was able to go through DevOps fundamentals bootcamp program, and then I did an internship in AWS partner company in data analytics, and then somehow ended up in cloud FinOps consultancy, which is focusing on cloud cost management.
Yeah, I think we kind of have like a similar story because I also transitioned to tech. So that was like my big thing, being able to, you know, went through the AWS Restart program, graduate, and being able to actually, get pass my first technical interview and get my first job in tech. That was, a professional accomplishment that I'm very, very proud of. Being able to like go through that 4-month training, and afterwards, maybe a month or so later, and I was able to get my first job in tech. So literally, that was what I wrote as my most accomplished professional stuff that I'm very proud of. And I think I added certification also. Being able to study and pass the certification. Being the first time that I'm learning the tech from my background. Yeah, I've been able to successfully pass that certification that was attached to the program at the end of the program. So I also added that to it. So yeah, you can share those things. It doesn't have to fit in what we shared, but whatever you feel like is accomplishment, you can definitely share, and you should be proud of it. You'll be surprised that someone actually we also relate to that. So I think that was one thing for me. I wasn't sure whether this accomplishment is actually enough, credible enough to be considered for this program. But be free to share your story, be free to share your accomplishment. You'll be surprised that it's worth it.
100%. Yeah, like own your accomplishments. Like the person you are now, plus like add 12 months from now, like where do you want to be? And you should own every single step and achievement that you've gotten to get to this step. And then it's where like I'm here now, where can I go after that? So I love this. Okay. So now we're not going to submit this because this is not a completed application, but that pretty much rounds it out. I think this is like a really great like application conversation, because application is going to be kind of scary and people want to know like, oh, what should I write about? Am I supposed to be honest? How honest should I be? Right? Like, because you sort of think about like, should you kind of like say that you have X number of years of experience to kind of like buff up your application, and sometimes like that actually is like, it'll do you a disservice, because then they're looking for like I'm sorry, I'm just trying to like restructure the screen here. Okay, there we go. Because people were also asking about that of like, well, I don't have like 3 years of experience, but I only have 1, but like, should I say that I have 2.5 so that it like means something? Like, you should like not do that. Like, you should come as you are, own where you are in the process, right? Like, you shouldn't feel like you need to meet some threshold that is like you think is what they're looking for, because they're not looking for a specific thing.
Oh, your experience, your journey, like everyone is like in different stages, you know, and I think that's what they also looking for, to give you that opportunity, you know.
Exactly. And be original, you know, be original, be yourself, you know. You don't need to package, you know, from where I come from. They're like, oh, you have to package, you know, you don't need to package your story. Like, be authentic. Like, this is who I am. You know, if they feel like, yeah, this is worthy of, you know, getting the grants, yeah, that is good. But don't try to package anything. Be authentic, share your accomplishment, and you'll be surprised that it's worth being rewarded for it.
Yeah, I think what they really want to see is your passion and effort. You know, it's not where you are. I think, yes, they want to know like what you've done so far, but they also want to know like where you're going from this point. So they definitely want to know what your plan is in terms of, you know, your career and also learning, etc. So you know, if you're just, you know, if you're a student or if you just recently graduated from tech bootcamp, you know, don't be discouraged. Just apply and then just, you know, talk about your passion and what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I was very like early career when I applied. I mean, obviously it's like for early career, but it's like I was very much like, I had thought that I was like, oh, like I probably won't get this because I'm not really working in tech. I'm kind of working tangentially in tech. Like, I'm building some things, but I'm not like senior software engineer at like big tech company, and like I didn't have that on my resume, so I almost like didn't apply to this because I thought like, oh, like there's probably way more people that are qualified than me to get this. And at the time too, I was kind of a little bit lost of like, where can I navigate in tech? Like, is this industry for me? Like, can I excel and thrive in this? And it's just for anybody that's like doubting themselves of if they're capable or qualified, like totally throw the doubt aside. You should 100% apply to this. I literally did not think that I was going to, you know, get this. I'm sure many of us had that doubt in our minds as well. And we ended up just applying, right? Because it's you think like, okay, there's like, how many people applying to this? They all are probably 10 times more qualified than me. But that's like exactly why you should apply. Because if you already have the application open, especially if you have it bookmarked, like if you already have the window open, like you have to apply. Like, pin that to the Chrome tab and like don't close it until you finish the application. Because it's like, the worst that could happen is like you spend some time on the application and you get a no. The best that could happen is you get to meet amazing people like Raphaela, Moyua, Abdie, Sully, and the hundreds of other people in the community. And that's like the best case scenario, right? It's like you get to meet amazing people that you could call friends, colleagues. Maybe you end up working together at a company, and it's cool because you have history and you guys bonded at, you know, Las Vegas. So there's so many opportunities that can happen, but you have to kind of be. And I was talking about this with actually one of the people in the All Builders Welcome from this last cohort, and we talked about this phrase of doing it scared, and that was like something that we like literally kind of created like this like hashtag. So you say like do it scared, and it's like if you're afraid of doing something, like as long as it's like safe and reasonable and like makes sense, like you should totally go and do it. Because it's like I had never thought like, oh, going to a tech conference that's global, like it seemed so ominous and mysterious. I didn't really know about it. I was like, okay, but what best odds? It's an amazing experience, and I have an amazing time and meet a lot of amazing people. So
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
exactly.
Exactly.
Right? You have nothing to
Meet a
lose,
lot of
so-
people, learn a lot.
I mean, it's like
100%.
for the value that this grant program brings, you only have to write like 4 or 5 essays, they're less than like 500 words each. It's like what? Like you can write it in like a couple of hours, right? Like how much money do you make doing that for all of us, right? So I mean, this is really great value, and absolutely great experience.
Let's
for
do it.
100%. And I think something that, and before we close out, I just wanted to say that I think something that we all bring into like our applications, our work, is like a sense of heart, and like that we have a passion for something. And we might not have the same passions for the same things. Like some people might be really interested in like a specific industry. Some people might using specific tools or skills or certain frameworks. But it's like everyone kind of, all of us, I feel like we all bring that sense of heart into whatever we do. So bring that heart like when you apply, because it's like if you're a really passionate person, if you're excited about something, make sure your application reflects that. I think it's really easy to like sound very sterile and very like focused words in the application, but like bring emotion into it. And an exercise that I sometimes do is like I'll talk out something and then I'll like listen to myself in a recording and then I'll write what I said. So like Siri makes that a little bit easier because you could just like talk to your phone or whatever, but like sometimes it can get lost. You sound too serious and then you're not writing a lot because you feel blocked. So just in case that's helpful for anybody, I use that as a strategy sometimes to unblock if I'm like writing something and it sounds too scripted. Try to bring emotion and heart into it. I think you all bring heart into all that you do. So
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty solid, Brian. Folks, don't use ChatGPT. Actually, write it yourself.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
say that again for the people in the back.
Just bring your own self.
gosh.
Yes.
I wonder how many people will try, because yeah, this will be a different year this time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, humans read this, folks.
They do.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things too. It's so funny that you brought up ChatGPT, Abdi, because it's like, I think sure you could have ChatGPT like optimize the best answer for a question, but like if someone checks you out on social media or like looks up your blog and like they are like, let's say that you wrote and you're really interested in authentication and identity providers, because that's what ChatGPT said is like the most optimized answer for like tech skills, and like you're writing about like, I don't know, building mobile apps with Flutter, and like you never talk about authentication, they're going to be like, okay, did you really write this or did somebody else write this for you? So it's really easy. I think like some people like are pretty crafty with ChatGPT. I think I can be pretty crafty with ChatGPT, but the work needs to match up, and like you can't hide from passion. Like if you're on LinkedIn and you're sharing posts, if you are on Twitter, you're going into, or X, I don't know what to call it anymore, but it's like if you go into like the like those audio circles and you like join in, contribute to conversations, if you're mentoring people, right? Like if you're a part of code communities and you're like helping mentor early career people, like that's something that you can't, like ChatGPT can't do for you. Like you still have to do that work. So yes, I'm glad you brought up the ChatGPT thing, because like, yeah, sure, it can create the most optimized answer, but like, is that the answer that you are passionate about? Like, I think that's what you need to answer before you submit an application. And then use that answer, not the ChatGPT answer, like the one that comes from the heart. Awesome. Okay, well, this was like such a great conversation. I just want to be respectful of all of my guests this time because we're definitely over and we went through a ton of stuff. So I just Raphaela, Mayua, Abdi, Sully, I want to thank you both all so much for jumping on the Tech Stack Playbook today to talk about the AWS Welcome Grant Program. I think we had an amazing conversation. A lot of people were messaging in the chat, and people were also asking about if this is going to be recorded. So obviously, yep, this is like going to be recorded. It'll be live on LinkedIn Live. So like there'll be a link on LinkedIn and then also on YouTube and on Twitch. So anywhere that you can see, it's probably there. So before we close out, I would love to just go around the circle and just have people say one thing that is kind of your plug of why you should apply like right now to the AWS Welcome Program. So name why you should apply and a social media link or a handle that they can find you. So Raphael, I'm gonna go left and go, or my right.
One thing, why you should apply. As I said, you have nothing to lose. Why not apply, right? And my handle I mentioned earlier. It's my LinkedIn profile, Raphaela Han. It's just my name, no period in between.
Awesome.
For me, like these grants focus on the underrepresented people. Just think about it. Hardly will your company send you, if you are just like early career, will send you to reinvent. If you are not maybe a salesperson, gonna go and make a deal or something. It's very rare for your company to, send you, except to write an article that, you have to convince them. So, but this, grants focus on the underrepresented people that might not have the opportunity, to attend. So just think about it, like, you matters. Having a table on the, having a chair on the table matters. This will put you on a global platform. You meet a lot of people, VPs that will come to that, conference. So this is, to me, I see it as having a chair at the table, meeting side by side with those top people, by default I might not be able to afford it, or might not get a means. So just think about that we need more people, we need more representation, we need that voice. Wherever you are coming from, wherever you are in the part of the world, your voice matters and we want to hear that. So just think about it, like, yeah, it would be good if I can represent whatever it is, Rwanda, like whatever, Burkina Faso, wherever you're coming from, I want to represent, I want to show that, yes, I'm here and we have a voice, and this is how technology can, improve our career, even in that remote area. So for me, that is why you should apply. Wherever you are, you want to hear your voice, you want to hear your ideas, you matter, so apply. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Kolayemi Olumuyiwa. That is my LinkedIn handle. Thanks again, Brian, for bringing me here to have this conversation. I really enjoy it.
I know you're a two-time a guest on the Tech Stack Playbook, so we love Moyua.
I'm coming back again.
I know. Let's make it 3. Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I would say like something like around the line of like the same sentiment, like take a bet on yourself. Trust that you have the talent, the skill set, apply. If you're passionate about technology, go ahead, again, apply. This will be an awesome opportunity to like learn and meet awesome people. It's a great conference to learn about a lot of different things. So yeah, you have nothing to lose. And if like where you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Sully Martinez on LinkedIn. On Twitter, I'm Latina in Tech. Easy to find me, and yeah, feel free to reach out and ask any questions.
Awesome. And Sully also a 2-time Tech Stack Playbook guest, so we'll have to do get you on the podcast again for a 3rd one with Moyua. We'll do a group one again. It's been really great having you. And Abdie, you're last up, the best dressed to close us out. What's your wisdom for us about All Builders Welcome, Reinvent?
Bring it home.
Yeah, and summarize what everybody already just said, definitely apply. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And when I say everything to gain, I really mean everything to gain. Great people who really want to support you, want to see you do well, a generally positive community, an opportunity to connect with people from all over the world. There aren't that many opportunities in life where you get to connect with people who are literally from all over the world. I'm talking from China, from the UAE, Nigeria. Shout out to me, and like you get to meet everybody and everyone from all over the world, and that's what's pretty cool about technology, because it brings people from all cultures, ethnicities, etc. In the same room. That's how I kind of see the reInvent conference, especially the AWS All Builders Welcome Grant. Where you can find me on LinkedIn at Abdie Mohamed, and you can also find me on Medium as well. I post articles from time to time at Abdie Mohamed again, and then I'm also on Instagram, amohamed.elevate. Feel free to shoot me a follow, and thank you all so much.
I love this conversation. Thank you all for your time and dedication to this community, and I've just had such a pleasure meeting all 4 of you through All Builders Welcome. So yeah, it's just been so much fun, and seeing you all thrive just after reInvent and all the stuff that you're all doing, it inspires me a lot. So I love that we're able to continue to inspire and empower other builders, and especially like going on a live like this and explaining how you can apply to the, this program. It means a lot. And a lot of people in the chat were saying just like how great the conversation was, and that we're answering a lot of the questions that they had. So hopefully if anyone's thinking of applying, you don't need any more reasons. Like you better get that bookmark open and start applying to this application, because it's amazing. Like it will seriously change your life. And you never know who you'll meet. I got to meet 4 amazing people right here, but you'll meet tens and hundreds of other people that are just like you, trying to learn what you can build in tech and just looking to get a jump start on how they can build, amplify other people, build community. So it's an amazing program, highly recommend. And feel free to reach out to any of us. I have everyone's social media links and handles in all the descriptions on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out to any of us. I'm sure we're all friendly, and we'll reply back in case you have any questions. But deadline is coming up in like 4 days. About like 4 days. It's end of
September 1st. Yeah.
Don't wait until the last minute. Get it in.
Oh yeah. Don't deal with the time zone stuff. Apply at least a day before.
All right.
Good strategy. All right. Well, I'll close this out, but thank you everybody for tuning in again to this episode of the Tech Stack Playbook. Raphaela, Moyua, Abdi, Sully, thank you so much for joining. And until next time, hope you have a good rest of your day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are tuning in the world. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.